Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Sassquad Trail Runners RunVenture Facebook Live series. My name is Kim Levinsky. I'm the owner and race director for Sassquad Trail Runners in New Jersey. Tonight, we will be interviewing my good friend, the amazing James Leitner of Mission Clean Water. Before we jump into the interview, I'm going to share a few updates on what is happening in the wonderful world of Sassquad Trail Runners. So next up for us, we've got the Harriman Big Bear Squatch that's on July 31st at Harriman State Park in New York. It is our first race in New York, which is very exciting. We are completely sold out with 150 runners and hikers. We did try to increase the capacity, but the park they gave us a hard no on that just due to staffing shortages with the Rangers office. So we are, though, slowly chipping away at the wait list. I would say if you're more than maybe 4 or 5 on there, the odds aren't likely for next week, but we are trying to open up some spots. If you tuned in last week, we made a huge announcement about our race series. We have the first ever for New Jersey, the Backyard Squatch Ultra is happening on August 28th. That is at Stoke State Forest in Branchville, New Jersey. We're so excited to host this trail party. It is just like Big's Backyard out west, where there's a 4.16 mile trail loop, and it actually very closely replicates the loop at Big's Backyard. So there's about 100 feet of gain per mile, and it is 100% single track. And then when night falls, we're switching over to a 4.16 mile out and back road course, which also has about 100 feet of elevation gain per mile. Registration is live on ultrasignup.com. You can register for that. We only have 80 spots just due to the nature of the course and it being single track. So sign up as soon as you can to get your spot. We will be supporting our charity partner, Success, and they distribute new socks to those in need around New Jersey. Since 2018, we have donated over 2,000 pairs of socks, thanks to you guys coming out to the races and helping us make those donations. So that was pretty short and sweet. That wraps it up for our Sassquad updates for now. You can learn more about our events for 2021 by going on our website, which is sassquadtrailrunning.com. Okay, so the reason you are all here is James Leitner. I am so excited to talk with James tonight to hear his story about how he is using our sport of trail running to provide clean drinking water around the world. So I'm going to give his formal introduction and then we're going to jump into the chat. So James Leitner is the founder of the nonprofit Mission Clean Water. Mission Clean Water provides clean drinking water and sanitation to underserved communities around the world. Sassquad, we've been a proud partner of Mission Clean Water and James and supported him in his efforts to raise funds for clean drinking water over the last couple of years. And this summer, James is going to be completing a marathon a day for 14 days while carrying 45 pounds of water. Just mind-blowing. If you've ever, just pick up a 45-pound dumbbell and imagine walking around with that, doing a marathon. 14 days in a row, he's going to be doing that. So James is also the race director for his run series, Mission Clean Water, which all of the efforts and the funds raised from his trail races go directly back into the charity Mission Clean Water. So, James.
Hello, thank you for having me, and I appreciate such a wonderful introduction and the relationship you've been able to build with Sassquad Trail Runners. I kind of have a question for you before we really jump into it. How are you going to be staying up the entire time of the Big Backyard race? Are you going to be behind the computer with the timing system?
That's a great question. No, I'm not because I would probably die if I stayed up that long.
Yeah, it's your own little Big Backyard race just to stay up. My goodness.
Yeah, no, thankfully we've already got a few folks who are committed to doing some shifts with me. I don't think it would be good for anybody if I was staying up or anyone was staying up the entire time. So,
besides the runners, I guess.
Besides the runners, yeah. We got to be able to make decisions and have some cognitive ability left in us.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that. It's amazing.
James, I'm so happy to have you on. You were one of our first guests when we started this. Now it's been a year that we started this back in, I think it was June of 2020, and you've come on a couple of times since then. You know how much I think about you and what you're doing with Mission Clean Water. So let's start at the beginning and really kind of flesh out Mission Clean Water. So people who are listening live or they're going to catch the replay on the podcast, they know what we're talking about. So fill us in, give us the story of Mission Clean Water.
Definitely appreciate it. So Mission Clean Water itself originally was formed as a way to keep people informed when I was originally walking across the United States, and as a way to kind of document the big fundraising efforts I was completing to focus around clean water pretty much. And when we talk about clean water, it focuses around the sole idea, mostly speaking, that close to 1 billion people in the world don't have access to clean drinking water. And as some days get hotter and there's more rain in specific areas, less people in the future are expected to really have clean water. And so as an organization, through Mission Clean Water, we kind of have the simple mission of assisting communities without clean water or basic sanitation as well, to ensure that they can have the basic human rights of hygiene, sanitation, and clean drinking water. Now, since I graduated college many years ago, I guess you can say, the world of clean water has drastically changed, and the way that us as an organization approach clean water has changed. And so a lot of our projects tend to be very community-driven, focused on the grounds and kind of at the grassroots level, to ensure we're just kind of taking everything into consideration to really complete a big clean water project. And it's been a very fun journey to be a nonprofit entrepreneur. And as things consistently build, those building blocks of an organization and the way we're growing consistently grows. And at this time, we have provided clean water to roughly 9,000 community members. I think that's 6 communities as a whole. So you can think of Millburn or Scotch Plains as a community, while we've assisted, I believe, 4 schools, primary schools or elementary schools at this time as well. And for 2021, if we're able to reach all of our fundraising goals, that'll provide clean water to 5 communities, 4 schools, as well as a regional hospital as well, because a hospital doesn't have clean water. So we're excited to help them out and see how we can work together.
That is amazing, James. Can you chat a minute about the efforts that you did last summer and that amazing experience? I know many of our Sassquad runners and hikers were involved in that, and maybe you can provide like a little update on that project.
No, of course, definitely. It could not have happened without all the help that everyone provided, definitely with Sassquad. So for anyone that doesn't know, kind of the very beginning of the story is I began in 2016 using, I guess, endurance style events as a way to fundraise for clean water efforts, focused around the idea that if you don't have clean water, you have to walk and find water. And typically speaking, the mom and dad of the family are working. So it's up to the youngest girl to walk and get water. And so through endurance challenges, I have, used these challenges to symbolize their journey. And it started off with doing a marathon a month for a year while carrying 45 pounds of water, to walking across the United States to symbolize that year total distance journey, to doing a 100-mile run and a 100-mile carrying water, and then to what happened kind of last July, where last July I had the idea of completing running 30 miles a day for 30 days in a row. Originally what was supposed to be in May, but ended up being in July instead, a much hotter time. Those 5:30 a.m. wake-ups when it was already 90 degrees is refreshing not to experience right now on the 21st of July. But in the end, the focus was to create a community effort to fundraise for a clean water project. Specifically speaking, this clean water project was to provide the St. Elizabeth's Secondary School, or an all-girls school that kind of combines middle and high school together, with a clean water solution, because these girls had to walk off school grounds to collect dirty water and were really not only risking their health and their time away from the school, but also risking just their personal well-being and safety because they're no longer under the protection of the school and we're at risk of, walking into some bad people. So once we completed the 30th day, July 30th, I do know there's 31 days in July, we were able to fully fund that clean water project. And I believe sometime in August and in September, that project was fully completed. Not only was the clean water components done with, but there was also, this school didn't have enough of a, I guess you can say, sanitation capacity for the entire school. For those 1,000 students, they had about 2 functional restrooms for all of them. And with the students' guidance and the teachers' guidance, we helped build, I believe, 12 new restrooms that really focused on girls' health, so a menstrual health management program, supplying of pads, as well as just kind of a safe space for hand washing and to kind of have their own little personal space inside kind of a restroom or bathroom facility. So it's great to report, I guess, after close to a year that that's been completed, everything is still fully functional. The school almost mirrors and functions similar to a school here in the United States, where if you're thirsty, all you have to do is raise your hand, you walk off out of your class and go to the closest water spigot or water fountain and fill up your little bottle you have, like a little Coke bottle, and you're kind of good for the day. There's plentiful water available, and hopefully within kind of its year impact assessment, we can see how that's changed and impacted education into the future. Might be a little hard to tell right now because it's been a little interesting with COVID and schools being kind of more fully closed, but it's just great to report that the project is fully functioning with no issues and is being maintained by the students, the teachers, as well as the maintenance facility on school grounds.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I love hearing this the update on, you put so much time and effort, and also the community really rallied behind you. That was seriously what, if I think back on 2020,
oh my God,
hands down, that was one of the highlights, was that last day.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness, the fire trucks came out, the community was there, there was the kids run.
That was huge. That was an amazing experience. Yeah, so I guess I talked a lot about the project, but for the role that Sassquad kind of provided for that journey, so I'm out there each day, I guess 5, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m., kind of based on how hot it was going to be that day. Because roughly speaking, my strategy for something like that was to run for 5 minutes, walk for 5 minutes. And we just did that on and off. And a lot of runners found great success with it too. I think you kind of hit a PR. It was very flat, so it was very different, but it was kind of fun to experience. But it was just amazing because regardless of the time, someone was always there with me. Maybe 1 hour each day I was kind of solo, but in the morning, someone would always arrive. Oh my God, on the weekends, it was always crazy on the weekends. You would have 11, 12 runners just trailing each other, talking, having fun. And it definitely kind of created just an environment where multiple community members in Sassquad could finally kind of talk, conversate, and just really get to know each other. And on the last day, that was just tons of fun with the fire trucks. A bunch of kids in Cranford, New Jersey, to kind of support this run, they did their own 1 mile a day for 30 days. And they all came out and we did the last mile together. They pulled down the finish line that you made for me, which was hilarious. And I think I was just running on adrenaline that last day, but I remember taking so many pictures on the verge of passing out, but it was a crazy experience. And I guess just a wonderful moment to kind of experience community and the outdoors again in the midst of what was all.
Linking up with you guys and everything you do at Mission Clean Water, it was a no-brainer to connect. And what I love about what you're doing is you're using the sport of ultra running as a fundraising avenue for clean drinking water. So let's jump into your race series, because that has now become, it seems like, the biggest arm of your fundraising efforts. I'm not sure, you'll have to kind of dissect that a little bit, but
sure.
Tell everybody, what is your race series? How does that work? What does it entail in terms of fundraising your efforts for Mission Clean Water?
No, definitely. So yeah, I remember you and I talking. You came out quite a few days, probably close to half, regardless of how long. And during those opportunities was a great time to, have the time to talk and really kind of think about ways of utilizing and, figuring out ways of using our apparent skill of endurance sports to fundraise for clean water. And that kind of created the avenue of beginning to think of and develop the Mission Clean Water race series and figuring out what could work well in terms of fundraising aspects. And so for 2021, we'll see what's going to happen in the fall. But for 2021, we began developing the goal of having some sort of race or some sort of fundraiser every single month that pertains to creating opportunity within the endurance or trail running community. Now, how that is structured, so let's just say, for example, we're planning a 5K in August. If you want to register for that race, let's just say, for example, it's $40. Your race registration all specifically goes towards our clean water project. So 100% is donated, while the costs to actually host the race are covered by our team or our board of directors, just to really see how things are developing and organizing. And I think up to this point, we've been able to host a race pretty much every single month. And it's been a very great thing to explore and have, and has definitely become one of the bigger avenues of our fundraising efforts. And we're beginning to figure out, what works and what doesn't. And it's exceptionally challenging. And, it's been great to have you as a information source and someone to talk to when I'm just trying to figure out these little logistical challenges to all these little races. So thank you.
Hey, anything we're here for you, James. Oh, we got some feedback on here a little bit. James, you've got probably your biggest event, maybe, of the series coming up next weekend. What's going on?
Definitely the biggest event of the series. So I guess a good way of talking about it is by talking about our favorite park, and I guess all of New Jersey, Tamaqua Park. Now, if anyone is not familiar with Tamaqua Park, it is a park in Westfield, New Jersey, and it's a one-way park. So if you drive there, it's just one way. But there's a little little spot that you can run or walk or bike around that's paved, and also a gravel path. And so when I did that 30 miles a day over 30 days, it was all situated at Tamaqua Park. And one loop around Tamaqua Park is 0.8 miles. So I think with the 30 miles a day, that was like, what, 37 and a half miles, or sorry, 37 and a half loops. So lots of repetition, lots of left turns as well the entire time. But Tamaqua Park has also been just a centrally located spot where I've been able to try and use to do my own 100-mile runs there as fundraisers, those 100 miles carrying water. So to try and share the craziness of running around a 0.8-mile loop, we've created an event that's happening this Saturday. It is the Westfield Ultra. Now, Kim, would you run around a loop many, many times that's 0.8 miles? No. It's very interesting. So with this race, it starts at 9 a.m. and we have different heats that you can register for: 3 hours, 6 hours, 9, 12, and of course 24 hours, where you can run around Tamaqua Park, the 0.8-mile loop, as many times as you can to see how far you can run within that time frame. And people are registering, so it should be a fun time. And honestly, I don't know, 0.8 miles, there's a sense of beauty around it, because all right, every 0.8 miles you have your aid station, every 0.8 miles you have the bathroom. The park is mostly shaded as well, so that's kind of nice. The weather is looking good. So I'm just excited. I don't have to do it, but other people do. So it should be fun to watch. It should be really interesting.
Yes, and I remember last summer we were talking about, the race series. I think either you or I, or maybe we both agreed on it, was that as monotonous and the agony of Tamaqua everything that's involved in it, it really is the ideal race setup because it's flat. So you're going to have a lot of distance PRs. You've got restrooms, real restrooms, working restrooms with I think there are water fountains there as well. There's probably electricity, maybe. I'm not sure where you landed on that because of the tennis courts have the lights at night. And there's ample parking.
Yep.
But the thought of 24 hours and you have people signed up, you got people signed up.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely the lesser distances, or I guess times, have a majority of the registrations. Like 3 hours and 6 hours is probably like 50 or 60% of the registrations. 9 hours, maybe that's just like an awkward time because we only have 3 people registered. I don't know, I guess it's kind of weird, but gave it as an option. But then 12 hours and 24 hours is, we got like 20 or so plus people registered for that. So it should be really interesting. And like, from my perspective, like it's nice because like when you first begin the run, you just have like kind of a 0.05 mile, just like straight shot, all wooded. So everyone can align all their supplies right there, right after you pass the, I guess, loop line or the start and finish line. So it's easy to like resupply yourself without like having to like walk all the way to your car or go really far away. As well as like, let's just say, for example, like we bought like 5 packs of Oreos. If we run out of Oreos, like 5 minutes away is a Target, a Whole Foods, a ShopRite, CVS's, everything. So it's interesting. It's like a little ample location. And I was surprised. Wesley was like, yeah, sure, go for it. I was like, oh my God, thank you. So should be perfect. And, but oh my God, it's just taking out so much planning and so much more than I expected, just knowing you're going to be out there for so much longer. And like my thought, I just remember seeing you at the end of the Squatch Apple, helping you clean up and just seeing you like do your own little zombie walk to like pack everything away. And that was just 12 hours or like 14 hours, I guess, at that point, because you were there to set up and everything. So I'm like, oh my God. I was like calling my friends, like if someone just comes from like 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. so I can just lay down on the ground and sleep for a bit would be probably the best help I could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share that, just with, when you're jumping into race directing, you, like James just said, you don't know those things until you experience it. And there absolutely is the RD zombie mode at the end of events because you've been there. I mean, not only have you been at the event early and you've been running the event and then you're cleaning up, it's also like weeks and weeks of buildup to get the race ready. So for sure there's a zombie walk at the end. But James, I will have to say, I will recommend getting some sleep because I finally did it. I took 20-minute nap at the midnight Squatchapalooza, and it made the biggest difference ever. And I wish I had done it the last time we had the race, but that's my
20-minute nap.
I know.
Listen, that's all you need sometimes. Yeah, I'm like ready to like call someone like, hey, listen, I can't drive home after the end of this. Like, please come get me.
Right.
Or all that. And just like the amount of extra supplies and food and things that I have, I'm just really excited for it. But like being upstairs in my house right now and knowing that there's 5 packs of Oreos, like 4 or 5 bags of pretzels, and enough ramen to feed a college kid for 4 years below me is very, very tempting. And I'm doing all that I can to avoid eating any of it.
Yeah. How many liters of Coke did you purchase? Has that been made? That purchase been made yet? Or are you waiting till?
I didn't buy that much just yet. I bought like the basics of it. Mainly because like, I don't want to like go super flat beforehand. So I'm not like refrigerating any of it. So I think I bought a bunch of the mini cans so I can just like hand those out instead. I'm going to have a bunch of coolers out there. So I bought Coke, Dr. Pepper, and ginger ale as well. So just a little mix. And I didn't want to buy too much because my thought is like, once we're out, we'll just have someone get it because it's so close. But I'm just like, I remember you had to do like 2 or 3 water runs for the Squatch Apple, and
You did them. You did the
I did one of them, but I got like 10 gallons and it was gone in like 2 hours. So I'm just like ready to be like, all right, we're gonna have to figure out something to get all that water there. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And it's been interesting doing an event a month because we are deciding on whether or not if we want to continue doing an event a month versus having like just 4 or 5 kind of iconic events with much more of a fundraise, like lower cost but higher fundraising tied to it. And looking back at like what's been the most successful this year and what style of events, and trying to kind of transition to those ideas, I guess. So we'll see how it comes together. Really looking forward to this Saturday. I'll sleep well tonight and tomorrow, and Friday will be weird. But yeah, it should be a fun time. I even bought tons of glow sticks to like light up the entire loop as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
That is awesome. I love that. I'm gonna call it right now. I think this event will take off in the next couple of years because there aren't a ton of 24-hour races in New Jersey. There's a couple at the fairgrounds, a couple like 1 or 2 100-milers, but I think there's definitely it's a good niche to put on.
Yeah, not too many. I mean, there's one guy coming out from California. I was like, I saw the registration and Ultra sign up, and I was like, what's he doing here? So that's very exciting. And yeah, when I kind of created this event, one, it was to celebrate like the fact that I've done all this, or we've done all this at Sassquad Park, but also because I guess this niche of an event is not in central New Jersey to an extent just yet, but also it's kind of masochistic with the 0.8-mile loop. But I guess with the goals into the future, because Sassquad Park has been used for 5Ks in the past, it is a, USATF sanctioned 5K course, which I think would make it easier for us to be able to have it as a qualifying course if you wanted to do a 12-hour or 24-hour team qualification. So that process, I got no idea about. But I'm just hoping what I said makes sense and it could be possible. So who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was looking at the runners signed up, and Trishul Churns is one of them. And if you haven't met him yet, we'll do it. I'll introduce you to him. I think he'd be such a great resource. He's he's got all these records for Canada on ultra running, and he was a guest on our podcast earlier this year. But he's a legend. He is a legend, and he's like the king of multi-day races. So he would be a great guy, I think, to talk to you about,
Yeah, definitely.
But let me scroll through the comments here because we got a couple coming in. We've got one from Sarah August says, you should have different themes for different hours or time periods of the race. So you got to maybe think on that one, James.
All right.
And then, our good mutual friend, G Reed.
Okay.
He's got a question. It's going to take us in a different direction, but after this, we'll circle back to because I want to talk about your August event. G says, have you ever thought about competing in Amazing Race or Ninja Warrior or some show where you can raise worldwide awareness for the organization?
Yes, mainly so part-time, if no one didn't know this, I kind of have transitioned to tutor, but to also kind of consult for climbing gyms in terms of technical development and marketing. And so I've been working a lot at a climbing gym up in northern New Jersey, which is a climbing gym as well as a Ninja Warrior gym. So in my free time, when I'm not climbing there, I'm practicing all those Ninja Warrior-based things. So the possibility is definitely there. And the only thing that has limited me from applying to Ninja Warrior, because I've looked at the application, is just creating a video. So it's definitely something I do want to do, and we'll just begin putting my application out there for into the future. And now that I've been at that gym, I know people that have been on the TV show, so they can assist me with the application and everything. I feel like that would only improve my bid as things try and go forward. But also hopefully for 2022, I do have an idea that Kim and I have talked about in a little development that I do want to try and complete that would be within a national spectrum, mostly not in New Jersey. Only one day.
Yes. You gotta maybe the cliffhanger there if you're keeping
Yeah. Planning has been ridiculous. Finding someone that's free for 50 days has been the hardest part, and getting a van, but it'll all come together.
Listen, I have no doubt in my mind that you will do that, and
Find a way.
I believe it 100%. So let's jump. This is a good segue into your project that is probably going to put you on that path of what you're doing. But let's talk about August. Your
Yeah.
insane challenge. Oh my goodness! All right, we got to give us the backstory. How did you come up with this idea? And then, I mean, I have so many questions. I mean, I want to hear about your training. I want to hear about the logistics of completing the challenge. So let's start at the beginning. How did it come about, and what's the story with it?
So an idea like this, which I'll, I guess, give the elevator pitch to in a little bit, began to develop mainly because previously the, I guess, annual challenges I've always focused on have consistently changed every year to be either purely running and endurance focused, and then the next year focusing on strength endurance. And of course, running and strength are very, very complementary, but I guess what the focus of this has focused about endurance with carrying weight. Simply because, you know, if you do not have clean water, this focuses around the idea that when you walk to get water, you have to walk back carrying water, which 5 gallons of water, which is enough for one person a day for all their daily uses, is roughly 5 gallons or 45 pounds. And carrying water is a little bit different than carrying weights because it's consistently shifting. So I wanted to try and find a way to resemble that journey, specifically for the young children, especially girls that are 6-7 years old doing this. And with last year, I've also kind of transitioned to the mentality of multi-day experiences or challenges because it pertains to the idea that if we have a fundraiser or there's a big event and we aren't able to hit our goals or complete a project just yet, someone still has to walk to get water the very next day. They still have work next day. They still have school next day. So challenges like these, to really focus and to put yourself in their shoes and be in that journey, multi-day just tends to resemble it much closer. So what will be happening is from August 1st to August 14th, I will be completing a marathon a day, and a marathon mainly because it's just a distance that I think many people can relate to. But I'll be completing a marathon a day for 14 days while carrying how much water someone uses in a day, or 45 pounds of water, to just put myself in their shoes and experience carrying and moving water each and every single day. And the symbolism behind it is a little heightened because you can only imagine what is being missed walking a marathon while carrying weight, and just the different strain that kind of comes into your body, focused around more of not just running, but carrying as well. And the basic strategy, without going into too much detail, is I have these big 5-gallon drums of water, or jerry cans as they're called, and I will be splitting the weight, so 2.5 gallons in one, 2.5 in the other, and just having them in hand. If you work out a lot, it's just kind of like carrying it like a farmer's carry, and just trying to get the distance in each and every single day. And I have disappeared the past 2 months to just focus on this solely, and the technique and training has been a lot, and it's been very interesting to begin to develop. And so with this goal is to hopefully push Mission Clean Water into a much more sustainable reach. The goal isn't necessarily to fully fund one clean water project, but the goal is to raise $3,000 of monthly commitments, because to a nonprofit organization, monthly donors is just kind of the way we are able to have full-time employees and just be a much more sustainable organization and know what our output can be regardless every single year. So yeah, it should be fun.
That is awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about your training and I mean, you just said you disappeared for the last 2 months. Like, I'm a fitness junkie, so I want to know, like, what are you doing? Have you been increasing the weight you're carrying? Are you increasing the distance? What is that training strategy look like?
Sure. So training wise, honestly, and does closely resemble to what a runner might do. Originally, I guess I've always been incorporating these kind of water walks as practice for probably close to 4 or 5 months. But for a while, I was just excited. It was getting nice out and just running a lot and exploring new areas. Uh, but for the past 2 months, it has kind of shifted now to not just focus solely on running, because I'll pretty much be walking the entirety of it because it's just hard to move with so much weight, but beginning to train just a new form of walking and running because you're stepping differently based on how much water you're carrying. But it also pertains a lot to what a normal running program might be, now just weighted pretty much. So for example, a runner might follow a program where 3-4 times on the weekdays, they're running, just for an hour or an hour and a half or something a little bit less, while on the weekends, they're focused much more heavily on those long runs, but at pace. So for example, what I've been doing for the past 2 months or so is on those weekdays, it has been focusing on probably the very beginning was technique, carrying less weight, but ensuring the way that I'm carrying and moving isn't going to put too much strain on different parts of my body, mainly because this is so much pressure on your neck, shoulders, and upper back and lower back. But once I kind of got used to the form and everything, the weekdays were less miles, but more weight than 45 pounds. And then the weekends focused on longer walks, but at weight of what the event is going to be, or at a little bit less weight, just to practice moving for so long. And then in the midst of doing 4 days on the weekdays and 1 long day on the weekends, the other days or the off hours were spent kind of cross training, and it's strengthening the shoulders, arms, and upper back. So a lot of it focused wonderfully enough on climbing, a little more weightlifting, and just trying to keep things consistently strong and adapted to carrying weight, because the technique and the focus is just so drastically different, because you tire out so quickly because you're putting full strain on one element of your body. So it's been interesting to experience.
And what would you say, do you have a target time for how long you think each marathon is going to take? Like, I know you were pretty consistent last summer when you did the 30 miles a day for 30 days.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea on like how long that's going to take you, or
consistency is going to be hard, but we'll see kind of once I'm actually there and experiencing it. The overall goal each day is to finish hopefully in between 8 and 10 hours, mainly because I'm trying to do what I can to respect doing 3 miles an hour, hopefully. But we'll see how that kind of goes. It's very hard to give a concise answer, mainly because the way of describing an event like this, I describe it to my weightlifting friends as if you had to do like 2,000 or 3,000 push-ups. When you first start, you'll be able to do a lot, but then it very consistently gets less and less as you continue. So strategy-wise, you need to find a way to make it sustainable. I've been trying to find a way to translate this to running and more cardio health, and it's been challenging, but I think I've thought of something where it's if you strap to your back 10 or 15% of your body weight, so let's say for myself, that's close to 20 pounds, and I gave you the goal of running 15 miles. But when you run, you have to sprint as hard as you can. So whenever you want to get farther, it has to be a full-on sprint. So you kind of have to figure out what that strategy is going to be in order to make that sustainable. Mainly because each time I lift the water, it's only a matter of time, and every distance is when my arms completely give out. So it's a matter of figuring out how to move the weight to different parts of my body and consistently go forward. So 3 miles per hour is the target goal. We will see how that kind of goes forward when it's actually time for August.
That's incredible. So how about, I'm trying to let the reverb here stop. I think we're good now. What about nutrition? What does that look like for like when you're out there? You had some fun nutrition strategies last summer, like the peanut M&Ms. I remember it was like a fun thing that you did. What does it look like? Is it similar to when you're running the 30 miles, or because I mean you're going to be out there essentially as
Yeah,
longer, right? So what's that look like?
it's a little bit, I don't know, it's been very interesting, and it's been a little bit weirder during my longer runs, or I guess walks, doing this, mainly because I guess in July and previous running events, you know, your heart rate is regularly increasing, so you don't really notice when you're that hungry. But for this, like, it stays relatively dormant, because I'm not like pushing speed or distance that much, or just mostly speed. So I'm just hungry the entire time. So I think the focus mainly is to kind of rely on the same foods that I was really consuming before in the past. But I've actually been working with someone that really a nutritionist and a dietitian to make sure I'm trying to move away from so much, I guess, artificial sugars, unless necessary, to begin hopefully having more fresh and healthier sources of sugar. I remember a while ago, maybe sometime last year, running with our favorite man, Daniel Joplin, and hearing him do the 12 hours at 3 days at the fair, and just him being like, yeah, I ate a bunch of blueberries and strawberries and it was fine. And I was like, oh, it's not possible. You got to eat M&Ms. So I'm trying to take some notes that he said to me a long time ago that I think could make a much more bigger difference. So I think in the end, a lot of the focus is going to be on some of the classics. Of course, got to have the M&Ms there. I've always gotten a lot of my nutrition from liquids. So a lot of it's going to be from coconut water, Body Armor drinks, apparently Scratch Labs now. Then what was it? Red Bull, of course, because it's high in carbs. Bacon. During that 200-mile run, I'm going to go on those burritos again. That was just like bacon, sausage, and vegetables wrapped in a tortilla. Super heavy, but I guess it worked. But then I do want to eat a lot more watermelon and fruit during the actual event itself, because I've had recent great success with that as things consistently have gone forward.
That's awesome. James, so we have a question in the Facebook here. This is from G again. He wants to know, can folks join you in the water carry? And then also Dan Joblin is watching, and he has a laughing emoji that's crying.
I'm so happy Dan's here. That's amazing. That like very quick little conversation apparently had an effect on me. I was like, I gotta talk to someone who's healthier than me. But what is it? So in August, people can join, and on our website, missioncleanwater.org/thewaterwalk, there is the opportunity for people to join virtually as well. So anyone is welcome to join me. This entirety will, of course, and classically be at Tamaulipas Park again, because it's easy to do it there. And I mean, my expectations are to once again start early. So 5:30, maybe a little bit later some days, and just consistently try and walk and get out the distance. Based on the structure of the event, I will have to be carrying 45 pounds of water the entire time. But, you know, people are welcome to come hang out, walk with me, bring the kids, because I'll be going slow. Gee, I'd love to see all the kids out there, mainly because your son's so much bigger now. And, you know, it'll just be a very different experience compared to running the entire time. So I think as much distractions as possible would be wonderful. And life at 3 miles an hour is very different because you're so much more approachable. So it should be a fun, interesting time. So anyone is welcome to come join me.
That's awesome. James, I think that G should bring his family and also play the Hamilton soundtrack because I know he loves that. But here's another question for you. Something that I loved watching last summer when you were there at Tamaquas was you got to know the Tamaquas kind of schedule and the regulars that were out there. Have you kept in touch with any of those people? And like, do they know that you're coming back this summer and will be there essentially, longer hours?
So yes, I have gone to Tamaquas Park a few times to do some test runs there, even though I've stayed more centrally located. And for anyone that doesn't know, because I was at Tamaquas Park for 30 days, there are these same exact people at the park to run for the same hour every day. And what was amazing was recently one of my close friends and a board director of Mission Clean Water, Kevin Schmidt, he'll be doing or attempting his first 100 miles for the Westfield Ultra. And him and I did do a little practice run together just to like see how his body reacted to, I think we finished 35 miles together. And I saw a lot of those, classic characters and people that I haven't seen in so long. And all of them remembered me. And I was like, oh, it's great to see you guys again. And like, oh, he's back. What are you doing this time? And I was like, nothing yet, but let me tell you. So they are excited to see each other again. What is wonderful is actually a few of them signed up for the Westfield Ultra as well this Saturday. And then I love these men to death. They make fun of me all the time. There's a group of gentlemen that run 10 miles every day together on Saturdays. And they remind me of, not Sesame Street or Looney Tunes, but like those two old guys that sit in like the window above and make fun of everyone. What's that puppet group called? I forget. The Muppets, that's it. Oh my God, sorry. Everyone's gonna make fun of me. The Muppets, yes. They just see me and they heckle me all the time. So I told them what I was doing. They're excited about it. And they will be around to heckle me a lot more on the weekend. So they're a good group. So I'm looking forward to seeing the regulars of Tamaquas Park again.
I love that. Two of my favorite stories from last summer was they had the ultimate Frisbee teams that were out there practicing. And I remember the coaches would always yell at their boys saying, look how hard this guy's running. You guys got to run harder. And then I think, though, my favorite story, I got to share this for everyone listening and watching, was you literally finished 900 miles, right? 30 miles a day, 30 days. 900 miles done. I was there at the end. We were cleaning up everything. And then a much older gentleman who was a regular walker came over and you guys had a conversation. And I think he had asked you, like, do you want to walk a lap? And I remember watching that thing, like, he just did 900 miles in 30 days. And then you went off and you did one more lap with this guy. I loved that story.
Yeah, I do remember that. I unfortunately forget his name, but when I was at Tamaquas Park with Kevin, we immediately recognized each other and talked for a bit, sharing about what was going on. He was pretty much at the park each and every single day to walk at like 6:30 for an hour or so as the sun would rise. And, we became very familiar with each other and saw each other all the time at Tamaquas Park. They made fun, him and his friends that would walk together would originally make fun of me because they're like, why is this guy putting a chair out in front of his car and changing his shoes each day when he gets here? And then we walked the last lap together. I found out he's a pretty involved gentleman in the Westfield cross-country community. He goes to all the meets, knows all the coaches, and it was great to talk to him for a bit, learn a little bit, and really an amazing guy. And it was amazing to see his face light up when Kevin and I were running together. So I look forward to seeing him for a few days and soon in August.
I love that. It's such a great story. James, we're getting down to the end. I want to ask a couple of questions that are going to kind of dig a little bit under the surface here. An outsider looking in on what you're doing, maybe they are involved in running, maybe they're not, probably will think like this guy is nuts or like he's on some end of the spectrum of the crazy, right? what is it that drives you? I know, Mission Clean Water, or, it's got to be a huge driving force, but I'm curious, is it, to do these extreme efforts, is is it kind of a symbiotic relationship of like your love for ultra running and your passion for Mission Clean Water? Like, you know what I'm trying to get at? Like, is one higher than the other? They both work together? Are they overlap? Can you dig into that a little bit?
So they both collectively go together as kind of a 50-50 split. I've been involved in many sports in my life, mostly soccer, golf, ultimate frisbee. Ultimate frisbee, I will forever love and love the community. But in the end, I've never met a more supportive group and community, I guess specifically in trail running and endurance running, and just anyone that has been willing to, on a whim, meet me at 12 a.m. to go for a run or do crazy things. I've never met a community this supportive before. So it's been a combination of falling in love with this community as well as consistently using, I guess, in symbolic endurance challenges as a vice for fundraising. In the end, I guess, originally speaking, I wasn't a distance runner, but had a good baseline to become one. And if it wasn't for me living in West Virginia at the time and thinking to myself, what can I do to fundraise for people that haven't, for clean water specifically, that haven't been done before? And my immediate thought was, I'm gonna do a marathon while carrying water. And just the idea stuck. And that kind of consistently happens where an idea comes in that is focused around endurance as a fundraiser. And once it can kind of be put into reality, or at least a training program, then it's just a matter of getting really deep into it and executing. So I guess to reiterate your question, it's definitely a big combination of both. Love the community, and let's just say in an extreme example, if I stopped fundraising for Mission Clean Water, I would still be involved in the ultra running community. So it's a combination of the love for the people and using it as a fundraising avenue.
That's so awesome. And I got to point out too, James, he can regularly be found not only at Sassquad races, but I know other events, volunteering. And that I think is such a great testament to who he is as a person, because it's one thing to do these crazy challenges and, personal feats and whatnot and go out and do races and things. But to also be so committed, I think, to giving back to the community is such an admirable thing. James, I got to ask you one more question. This question came up back now, I don't know, a few months ago. We had on Patty Murphy. I don't know if you watched that one. She has a podcast called Leadership Under Fire. And one of the questions that she brought up, which I thought, oh, this is such a great one. I got to remember to ask this on our podcast. I think you would be so great to answer this question. So her question that comes up on her podcast is, what is your relationship to pain? What kind of relationship do you have with pain? And I got to ask you, James Leitner, you can take this any direction you want, with your challenges and whatnot. But what is your relationship with pain? The people want to know, James.
Oh my God. I think ultimately pain can be described as multiple ways, which is of course physical as well as mentally and emotionally, mainly because the reason I do things like this comes from multiple examples. We are consistently trying to, at least me mentally, and consistently trying to pursue what is next. And it's just how I've been driven for very, very long. And even as I will still be involved in the endurance community for a lifetime, I think always and forever there will be a goal in mind to keep the mental and emotional pain, I guess, away. Because a good example is when I finished the cross country walk back in 2017, you kind of have to assimilate back to normal life. And for the first time, you don't have anything specifically to look forward to anymore. And I guess what I found something to look forward to was becoming part of the endurance running community. My relationship with pain has been physically drastic for a very long time. And there needs to be the understanding of, I think everyone needs to have a relationship with physical soreness, I guess you can say, mainly because I think the ultra running community has mixed emotions on it, because I think there needs to be a collective agreement of someone being able to understand when the physical soreness or pain they're experiencing is something that is short term or just your muscles being sore, compared to something that could be much more serious or making you much more injured for a very long time. And I think doing multi-day events have kind of lined or shown me the more light around that, and have been able to allow me to experience different levels of pain that help me identify, is this just an emotional low that I'm experiencing, an emotional high that I'm experiencing? Is this soreness going to be here today, tomorrow, or the next day? And is this, feeling in my knee going to be lasting a very long time? Because we have such an emotional and mental strongness to push forward, and that caused me to be out for like 4 or 5 months when I was out in November. So to avoid issues like that, talk to your physical therapist or Mama Beck as well.
Shout out to Mama Beck. I know that you work with one of your main sponsors is a physical therapy group. So I'd love to, let's give them the platform. You want to share a little bit about them and who they are?
Definitely. So we found each other, I guess, before my last year in July. Performance, rehabilitation, and regenerative medicine. They have multiple branches, but I guess the main one I'm close to home to is the one in Watchung, right off Route 22. And what's been wonderful about them is they're kind of all under one roof physical therapy or recovery organization, as you can call it. It's wonderful because I can go there. The people now know me very well. I can see a physical therapist, a chiropractor, and begin just kind of creating all the remedies I need to make sure I'm fully strong and ready for kind of what is next. So they've been extremely beneficial. They currently have a matching campaign going on for donations for Mission Clean Water. So they've been wonderful, and honestly has kind of, when I began working with physical therapists, really showed just how, and Kim, you can contest to this, they just showed me how insanely important strength training and recovery time is towards anyone's performance success.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And they're usually out at your events as well, which is great. You guys can get more info on that. I want to finish with the last question here. Because something that I've learned is that a lot of times people want to help, but they don't know how they can specifically. So can you share, like, what specific needs do you have, for your Mission Clean Water, for your race series, whatever direction you want to take it? Tell our listeners here on Facebook and then who are listening on the podcast, what are some specific ways that they can get involved? How can they get involved? And how can they support the amazing work that you're doing?
The lights have been like constantly flickering for some reason. So I'd like to try and give people ways of supporting Mission Clean Water that solely aren't donation based, because as you all know, I'm a nonprofit organization and I'm trying to avoid asking you nonstop for donations. But you need to understand that outside my board of directors, I'm probably the only one that is really dedicating a full-time environment to this in the midst of paying bills and everything. So being able to have other runners and people to bounce ideas off of and share ideas to is extremely beneficial. And I would love to, from this conversation, begin to have other people kind of as our own little Mission Clean Water race series committee that are willing to hop on calls, maybe bi-monthly, so we can talk about how we want to drive and move Mission Clean Water as a adventure and racing fundraising organization, or I guess as our platform, really excel and go forward, because it's wonderful to have ideas to bounce off of people, and collectively things are consistently and always changing. So always looking for individuals that can provide an ear to listen to their own opinions and a heightened level of expertise that I can consistently talk to. So if anyone is interested, you're welcome to just send me a private message or directly message me at any time.
That's awesome. And how about, if people do want to donate financially, how can they make that donation? I'm going to push you here. Tell the people, how can they donate, James?
Of course, of course. So very simply speaking, if you want to make a single donation or a monthly donation as well, you can visit our website, missioncleanwater.org, and we have a donation page that you can visit where you can click on and make a donation of any size. Now, of course, if you want to make a specific donation towards this challenge that is occurring in August, you can visit the webpage or go to our website and visit the Water Warriors page, which is kind of our monthly donation platform, which will, of course, go towards the overall goal, because the goal is to raise $3,000 of monthly commitments. Now, if you do want to become a monthly donor, there are perks involved. You do receive a 25% discount towards all of our events, which includes all of our races. You can sit on monthly phone calls to provide your own opinion towards what is going on in Mission Clean Water. And you're just kind of the first person to receive information about what is going on. And we're just trying to find ways to make our monthly donation platform as a way of really kind of having you buy or donate a part of Mission Clean Water to yourself. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic, James. The hour flew by. I knew it would. I'm so glad you came on. I think the world of you. I tell people all the time, you are a visionary, and I just love just the vision that you're casting and the direction that you're taking Mission Clean Water. And I was just talking about you. I forgot to send you this link. I'll send it to you. I was on a podcast with a friend in Colorado, and he said, what other race directors are doing cool things in New Jersey? I was like, well, let me tell you about James Leitner and Mission Clean Water. It's true. I love that you're using the sport as a platform to just make such a global impact. And I'm just happy, you invited Sassquad to join the journey, and we're looking forward to supporting you this summer and many years to come.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on this podcast. As always, for anyone that doesn't know, I've kind of already said this before, but Kim to me is Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid, because he's been such an amazing information source and someone always willing to talk, even when you can be in the middle of the woods on some weekend in New Hampshire, God knows where. So I appreciate it. For anyone that doesn't know, we consider our partnership a forever growing thing with Sassquad. So if you participated in a 2021 Sassquad event, that does count. You do get a discount towards all our events or all our races. So appreciate everyone that has listened, everyone that has supported me. If you want me to support you, just contact me. I'm going out to Tahoe soon. So always willing to help anyone and be a possible avenue of information. So appreciate everyone. Love all you guys. So thank you all so much.
Awesome. That's right. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a blast to have James Leitner here with us. Again, visit missioncleanwater.org to learn more about his series. There are still some more spots left in his race for this weekend, the Westfield Ultra. That's on ultrasignup.com. So we will post this recording onto our podcast in probably a day or so. We'll get it on there. And that is available anywhere podcasts are streaming, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, wherever. And if you want to learn more about Sassquad, just visit sassquadtrailrunning.com. And until we see you again, keep it squatchy.